All right, so the tenants are upset. Apparently, a squirrel is in their ceiling and actually has the ability to get into their live space. Obviously, that's incredibly upsetting. They're upset specifically with us and the actions that we've taken. So we sent a contractor out because the squirrels are actually getting into the very top part of the property near the roof and the eaves, and this is a structural issue and it needs to be fixed and it needs to be fixed right. It has to look right and actually has to be a solid construction thing. Now, an exterminator is obviously not going to be the individual to fix a structure. I mean, for that, we would want a contractor. So we immediately sent out a contractor, and the contractor's been going out there repeatedly trying to address this situation. I understand the tenant's perspective on like, hey, why are you not sending out an exterminator? We need this done immediately. We have scheduled an exterminator as well since the contractor is not being successful. Where we're having kind of a disconnect, besides, I understand the tenant's frustration of why have you not, well, I always your first choice, not an exterminator. They don't want to live with a squirrel, in, of course, in their live space. How incredibly distressing would that be? I can understand why they would be upset. However, I think it was valid sending a contractor. The problem is with even with an exterminator, and this is where we're having a disconnect with the tenants, is they want the tenants removed immediately, and the tenant, or I'm sorry, the squirrels removed immediately. The squirrels are actually in their ceiling, in their roof, and there's just no way to get the squirrels out without it being a bit of a process. So you're not, obviously not to be ridiculous, but you're not asking the squirrels to leave and have them simply leave. We, of course, can't barricade them in and trap them inside the property because they're just simply going to enter into the live space and wreak havoc. And obviously, that can be a dangerous and very unfortunate situation for the squirrels and for the tenants. So it's going to be a process, and I don't think the tenants are not understanding why. And I think you, as a landlord, as a rental property investor, you're just going to have to understand certain environments and certain things that maybe a tenant isn't always going to know. But it really is going to be your job to know that some of these things are unfortunate and incredibly distressing. But as long as you're doing things that you're supposed to be doing, such as calling a contractor, calling an exterminator, then that's the best you can do. So the tenants, of course, being distraught, why have you not removed the squirrel from my property, really translates to that this will be a process. So we have to somehow trap this squirrel or squirrels to get them out of the property and then close up the property properly. And that's going to be a little bit of a process. You can't simply just go in there and throw fireworks into a ceiling or some kind of noise. It's just going to be very difficult getting those squirrels out. They will have to be trapped likely and be removed in some kind of bait type situation. It's going to be a multi-visit thing. It's just not going to be an easy thing. I mean, how do you even get a trap? So if the squirrels are getting into a hole about that big, in a cornice of a property near a roof, you can't exactly just set a trap right there with bait. It's not as easy as somebody might think. And as a landlord, I think you're just going to have to come up with that mindset of that some things are going to be just the way they are. There's no super easy way of simply removing a squirrel. And again, that's the disconnect that you're going to have between your tenants and yourself. And you are going to have a certain mindset. If you're going to be able to function well, you're just going to have to understand that certain things are going to be just the way they are, that you just need to move forward with the correct actions, and that's the best you can do. All right? Just a humble Philadelphia property management company owner doing my very best to answer your rental property investing questions. As always, happy rental property investing.